favorite memories of when he was young. He would never kill anything. He used to tell my mama that she was going to go to hell for killing flies. So he would get in trouble because he said the word hell in our house, because that was a bad word. So he didn't say that. He had to say torment. But so he would catch the flies and put them outside during the summer. And Sonny, one of my favorite memories, I see him on the back porch steps, and he is very tediously taking a bumblebee out of the spider web to save the spider web. And I told him that it was going to come back and repay him by stinging. But I wanted to share, our nephew Craig spoke at the Kentucky Memorial, and these were things he said about Sonny's love for things and nature. He understood the value of creation and respecting those things the Creator had made, be it great or small. He loved spending time in the outdoors and loved and respected all created things. Sonny, we grew up in a little coal town called Hemphill. When Sonny and Randy, I was just newborn, but our dad, like most unemployed mountain men, went north to find work. And I was reading through some of his, as he had them listed in a folder, his musings. And he spoke of when they got to Ohio, it was the first time they had seen it on television. And he heard a song. And so he went to school, first grade, the next day, and he bugged the teacher until she allowed him to sing in front of the class. And that just really surprised me that Sonny would do that somehow. But he also, and if you've seen some of his YouTube videos, he talked about at the age of 8 leading songs at church prior to the service, because it would have been a sin in the church we grew up in to allow him to lead singing at the age of 8. So he had a love of music instilled in himself at a very, very young age. And he got I thought it was $25, but he said a $27 guitar, and taught himself how to play. And the first song he learned to play was Johnny Cash's I Hear That Train A-Comin', and it was just such a source of pride for my dad that he had to play it for everybody who would ever come to visit. And so he had those roots in the love of music from a very, very early age, especially the love of singing a cappella. And when he would come to visit me in Kentucky, he would always come to my church. He loved my church, and he loved the people there, and they loved Sonny. And so we would always sing a cappella, and Terry accompanied us on one Sunday. And I'm so thankful that the first week of June he was in Kentucky, and we were able to sing Night with Evan Pinion for our church that morning. So I'm just so thankful for Sonny, and I'm so thankful for his life. And I was sharing with Dana this morning that it did not matter. It just, on the darkest days of my life, Sonny would appear, whether I was at Alice Lloyd College. He came because he was afraid I wouldn't eat, because I was very, very bashful. And I hadn't been to the cafeteria the whole month because I was ashamed. But the worst day of my life at UK, who pops up? Sonny. I don't even know where he was living at that time. So Sonny's always been here for me during the dark times. I wanted to share something I found in his musings. And I thought, but it was very appropriate this morning, and ironically, I'm a bereavement counselor for hospice, and we use this book to help children understand death a little bit. But I found this in some of his papers, so I wanted to share that. It's from the Velveteen Rabbit. One day, the young rabbit asked the skin horse, who has been around the nursery quite some time, "What is real, and does it hurt?" "Sometimes," said the skin horse, for he was always truthful. "When you are real, you don't mind being hurt." "Does it happen all at once, like being wound up?" he asked, "or bit by bit?" "It doesn't happen all at once," said the skin horse. "You become. It takes a long time. That's why it doesn't often happen to people who break easily, or who have sharp edges, or who have to be carefully kept. Generally, by the time you are real, most of your hair has been loved off." We know Sonny's hair wasn't loved off. "And your eyes drop out, and you get loose in the joints and very shabby. But those things don't matter at all, because once you are real, you can't be ugly, except to people who don't understand." And today, Sonny's real. He's always been real. He never knew the gift that he was to others, and we know him as real. But today, he is real in a totally different way. And in closing, I'll share something that I often share at hospice memorial services from the book Tuesdays with Maury, who left all these wonderful life lessons. And one of my favorite life lessons was, death doesn't end a life. Death ends a life, not a relationship. And so we're always going to have a relationship with Sonny. Always. We just have to communicate with him in a different way. So thank you all for being here, and thank you for loving Sonny.
You know, it does my heart good to see so many of you here today, to honor and to celebrate Sonny's life. I think he would have been humbled, and I think he would have been proud and grateful that we are here. Sonny was taken too early, and he went too quickly, so we didn't have a chance to say goodbye. So maybe today we'll all have a chance to do that. It's obvious by your being here that you knew Sonny, that he had touched you in some way, as he did many people, and influenced you perhaps, and it shows that he has lots of friends, many, many friends. Sonny and I met 22 years ago. I had been looking for a retirement hobby, and I decided to learn to play the guitar. And so I bought a cheap guitar, and I bought a country songbook, a beginner songbook, with chords illustrated. So you've all been looking. And I began what became a long journey. A friend at work told me that, he heard about my struggles with music, and he suggested I might like bluegrass music. And one night he introduced me to the freight room. Brenda and I went to the freight room. And it was Thursday night, and Hansall Brothers were on the stage. And Sonny and Bob and Scott and Paul were all sounding, they were sounding fabulous. They were the fabulous Hansall Brothers. Sonny was telling his stories as he would introduce each song that he had written. And you all may remember, those of you who knew his music well, he had a song that he wrote that came from something he saw out in the country, in a little country church. On the marquee was the words, "If you're the one slinging mud, then you're the one losing ground." I always thought that was so funny. Because I grew up where if you were slinging mud, you were gossiping and you were talking against your neighbor. And if you were doing that, you were belittling yourself. And that's what that song captured. I thought it was a great song. A few songs later, a few tunes later, he introduced another one. And he told how he was inspired to write that song by his brother. It's called "Ordinary Man." And as he sang it, and I listened to the words, I felt he was speaking about not only his brother, but about mine. And most of them that he knew who put their best efforts forward in life. That song continues to be Brenda's favorite song. I guess that's when I realized Sonny was truly important. After the show that night, Sonny and I met. We learned that we were both from Eastern Kentucky, so we had people and places in common. And he agreed to become my teacher that night. And pretty soon I was immersed in the sounds of bluegrass music. So with his skill as a teacher, his patience toward me, I began to very slowly learn how to play the guitar. Well, some people still question it. But keep in mind, I was 57 years old. I had never sung a song. I had never played an instrument. So he had his work for that, sure. But as I said, he was very patient. We met every week for 3 years. Wednesday afternoon, I would drive through the traffic, get all the way down to Decatur, and we would sit there for an hour, and he'd try to show me how to do things. During that process, of course, we became friends. And if I were to try to critique Sonny's teaching methods at all, in any way, it would be that he was too easy on me. He was really hesitant to criticize me in any way. But occasionally he would say something like, yeah, you can play it that way if you don't mind it sounding that way. So at the time I was singing, I was jamming, playing with friends, and along with some other friends we formed the Facing South Bluegrass Band. And we've played for more than 16 years throughout the area. Mike Susie and I, and Terry Lee. And for the last 4 years, 4.5 years, I think, Sonny was part of that band, playing the fiddle at Facing South. And that was a nice time. Sonny was an important part of my life. And I had to really stop and think about that because I had taken him so much for granted. You know, he was there. There were times when he was away, and he lived away from Atlanta for a brief period of time, and I didn't see him for months on end. But I never questioned that we were friends. And other times I saw him 2 or 3, 4 times a week. And when that's going on with someone, you know, they just kind of get involved into your activities and things that are happening. So he was very much an important part of my life. There were times when he had difficult times, and a couple of those he called me, and we worked through it together. And there were times too when he helped me. So I admired his voice. I admired his playing skills, as all of you did. And I will miss him greatly. But you know, as long as we can hear his music, and as long as we can sing his songs, his memory will live within us, and he will not be forgotten.
picture of Sonny. Our vision of him is influenced by what he chose to reveal, the experiences we shared with him, and the amount of time we spent with him. I shared a lot of everyday experiences with Sonny, so I can tell you something about the everyday, offstage Sonny Houston. Sonny and I shared many meals together. I'm accustomed to saying grace before I eat. When I got in a hurry or just forgot, Sonny would remind me to pray. So I'm not going to be in a hurry, and I'm going to take a moment to ask a blessing on our time together today. Let's pray. Loving Heavenly Father, thank you for this time this morning to draw near and remember your child, Sonny Houston. Thank you for creating him with that one-of-a-kind voice, those beautiful and talented hands, and his unique mind, personality, and view of the world. Thank you for the way he touched each soul here today. We're grateful to be in this place that had meaning to Sonny, where he performed at Lena's and where he shared music, conversation, and companionship with the clients of Plymouth Harbor. We ask our words, our music, and our thoughts. Amen. I want to remember Sonny today by talking about some things and people he loved and enjoyed. Since I began my remarks with a reference to shared meals, I'll continue in that vein. Sonny loved to cook. He would pore over his recipe books, deciding what to cook when the weekend arrived. He was not deterred by long lists of ingredients. He would go to his favorite place in Decatur, the farmer's market, stroll the aisles, pick up all the herbs, spices, vegetables, and meat, and get in a good dose of people watching. Then with infinite patience, he would peel, mince, chop, and stir for as long as it took to prepare his dish. If he was uninspired, he would call and ask, "Is it okay if we just have lobster tonight?" Lest you think he was a snobby gourmet, I must tell you that every spring Sonny would pick and prepare poke salad. And he could bake a fabulous pound of cornbread, which we would eat with soup in the evening. Then he would have cornbread and sweet milk for breakfast the next day. Sonny loved coffee. Not just any coffee, but his coffee. Organic Colombian French roast from the farmer's market. When Sonny traveled, his coffee, his espresso maker, and his sugar traveled with him. When he had to have his coffee from Starbucks, he stood by the barista who would hand him his cappuccino at a given point. Sonny would add his sugar, hand back his cup, then supervise the addition of the milk and foam. His preferred venue for the morning cup which he brewed was the front porch, taking in the sights and sounds of the non-human creatures that were stirring. Sonny loved movies and TV. He was a Coen Brothers aficionado. He owned all their movies and had watched them numerous times. His appreciation was wider than just those films, though, and he knew directors' names and who wrote scores for all the classics. His taste in TV was, well, Sonny loved MeTV and had watched and rewatched all of the episodes of Seinfeld, Bonanza, The Rifleman, Perry Mason, Hogan's Heroes, and The Carol Burnett Show. He loved watching classic horror films on Saturday night and was a loyal follower of the host, Svengoolie. He was also known to binge watch Mad Men, House of Cards, and Downton Abbey. Sonny began every day with words he loved NPR. His day started with them at 5:30 a.m. He would snooze and listen until he partially heard all the stories 2 or 3 times. And the amazing thing is that he knew the names of world leaders, he knew what movies were coming up, he could quote book reviews. Later in the day, he'd tune in fresh air. He got a huge dose of words, probably 4 to 5 hours a day from NPR. Sonny loved words. He loved to read poetry, novels. He had a burgeoning love of crossword puzzles. He loved lyrics and knew hundreds of songs. He wrote beautiful lyrics. Scraps of paper in his pockets and notebooks were littered with phrases that were buzzing around in his brain, waiting to be put together into a verse or a chorus. Sonny could weave words into stories about his past with myriad and minute details. He included first, middle, and last names of all characters, place names, route names. Sonny could paint pictures with words and take you with him on his retreats to earlier days. It's no secret that Sonny loved music. That love was nurtured as he listened to his mother learn music for church and then practiced with his father and others who sang with her. He loved rock and roll, country, bluegrass. Turn on Pandora, he could name bands, albums, and the musicians who played on the songs. He learned to play his instruments, sing, and harmonize. He knew music theory. Sonny loved to listen to blues and jazz, and in the middle of a song, he would have the chords and the intervals figured out. He suffered from the musician's curse of having a song stuck in his head nearly every day. Music was in Sonny's DNA. Sonny loved the Southern Folk Advent service in Oxford, Georgia, a service of folk preaching, bluegrass, and folk hymnody. For 23 Decembers, Sonny and his band provided the opening music as well as introductions and accompaniment to many of the congregational songs, which came from the time before the Sacred Harp was published. This was the highlight of Sonny's December. Sonny loved Folk Week at the Settlement School in Hunman, Kentucky. For many years, this week gave him the opportunity to reconnect with his Appalachian roots as he taught classes and lessons and interacted with the families who attended. This was a source of deep friendships and a feeling of being at home. Sonny loved the least of these, freely, with no agenda, no strings attached. When we were out, I never saw him refuse to give money to a stranger when they asked him. He would give what they asked or what he had in his wallet. After we walked on, he would look at me and say, "I never say no." He or she could be Jesus. That was that, no second thoughts, no worries that the person might be scamming him. That attitude was as natural to him as breathing. Sonny loved no place on this earth as much as he did Eastern Kentucky, but he did have a love for Knoxville, where he lived before moving to Atlanta. He established a fulfilling musical life and an extensive network of friends. While he lived there, he worked for Catholic Social Services with the food bank and in refugee resettlement. He spoke of that job as the most meaningful and the best fit for him of any work in his lifetime. Sonny loved Eastern Kentucky, and in many ways, his life outside of those hills was as a stranger in a strange land. He loved the hollers, climbing to the top of one holler and crossing over into the neighboring one. He navigated by creeks and rivers. Houses were located in relation to the head of the holler. Those hills, the family and friends who inhabited them, the cadence of their voices all enfolded Sonny, and without him, he never felt at home. Sonny loved his family. Okay, I can do this. They were never far from his heart or his thoughts. He quoted Leanne, his baby sister, weekly. According to Sonny's memory, during childhood when his mother served potatoes, Leanne would remark, Them taters are good. So each and every time we ate potatoes, in whatever form they were served, Sonny would take a bite, look at me, grin, and say, them taters were good. Susan, he bragged and bragged to me that you loved him best. Only after I'd known him for a while did he sheepishly admit that indeed each of your siblings thought you loved them best. For Sonny, your love for him, Leanne, Ronnie, and Randy was a magic glue that held you all close. Ronnie and Randy, Sonny was a dreamer. He dreamed every night. And he remembered and retold his dreams in great detail. Truthfully, 4 out of 5 dreams that he retold included the 3 of you brothers. Often you were wrestling, riding bikes, or chasing through the woods in and out of creeks. In his dreams, you were never far. I know that the way I see the world and the way I love my life and the people who are in my life are forever changed because of the time I spent with Sonny, because he shared himself, the things he enjoyed, and the people he loved. And I am truly thankful for Sonny Houston.
Life is like a mountain road. as you roll across the trestle, spanning George's rushing tide. You behold the Union Depot, into which your train must ride. There you'll meet the superintendent, God the Father, God the Son, with a hearty, joyous welcome. Weary pilgrim, welcome home. Blessed Savior, there will guide us till we reach that blissful shore, where the angels wait to join us in God's praise forevermore. In God's praise forevermore.
Well, it's really clear. Everyone knows that Sonny had a love for music. I want to tell you about something else Sonny had a heart for, and that was older adults, and specifically those living with dementia. My name is Kay Coppage, and I work for the ministry here at this church that's called Plymouth Harbor. Sonny's been coming for years to play with the Bluegrass Jam group for us and for our participants once a month. But there was one day that another group was coming, and they were missing a guitar player, and so Sonny was filling in for them. On this day, it was about a year and a half ago, there was one of our participants who had Alzheimer's disease, and fairly far along in the progression of that disease. She had lost the ability to be aware of personal space. So Sonny is playing the guitar, and this sweet woman is right up on him. She's moved by his music, and she is right there, and he's having to kind of lean back and continue playing. And I kept trying to move her back, and she just kept getting right on top of him there. And he said to me, he said, "It's okay, just leave her be." So I did. And he played the rest of that day sort of contorted. At the end of that time, that day, he came up to me and he asked me questions about her. What did she have, and what was that like? I answered his questions, and he said, "I want to volunteer here. I want to know more about your program." So the next week, Sonny started coming twice a week, 5 hours a day, to be with us. Not only did he have a desire to be with this population, but he also wanted to understand them. He wanted to understand the struggles that they have. So he asked me for information and literature on Alzheimer's. So I gave him some websites, and he said, "No, I'm old school, I'm old-fashioned, I want paper. I want to hold a book." So I gave him books, and he took them and he read them. And he'd come back and ask me questions. With Sonny's gentle, quiet spirit, he was able to soothe and calm those participants that were agitated and frustrated with their life situation. Just by the way he would sit with them and be present, he had a calming effect on them. So many times we would pair him up with those that really needed special attention, and Sonny could give that to them. One of our participants in particular, Miss Joyce, was a favorite of Sonny's, and she has pretty much lost all ability to communicate verbally. But when she saw Sonny, she would light up like a Christmas tree, throw her arms out, dance her way over to him. And they would sit and hold hands and just look into each other's eyes. No words were needed. he just spoke the language of love to her. And that is a special memory to me. Not only did Sonny connect with folks while he was with us at Plymouth Harbor, but he thought about them after he'd go home. More than once, he would call me on the phone after hours and say, "Kay, I've been thinking about Miss So-and-so. I wonder if we try this, or maybe this would be helpful." And he had ideas because he was thinking about them. One time in particular, and this has just been a few months ago, he called me and he said, "Now, Kay, I know to us this may not be a big deal, but to the ladies who play bingo," and Sonny, you have to know, bingo is a big deal with our folks. It's like Vegas. I mean, it's serious business. Sonny called the serious bingo ladies, he called them the bingo cartel. He said, "Now I'm seeing a problem with the bingo cartel." It's like one lady was playing with 2 cards, and the other ladies didn't take too kindly to that. And I think we need to monitor that. And I said, "You're absolutely right." But the fact that he was tuned in, he was reading their expressions, reading their faces, tuned into the needs that they had, and he cared about what was important to them, even if to the rest of us it was something small. Sonny cared. Sonny was like his name. He was a bright light for us at Plymouth Harbor. In the business that we're in, I probably lose a participant or former participant almost every month. After Sonny passed, a few days later, one of our dear ladies passed. And the first thing I thought of was Sonny is there to welcome Miss Brenda. And I know that he greeted her at the gate. And I can just see that big smile and warm hug for her. And I know that he'll be there for the others of our folks as they trickle in. Sonny was a blessing to us, and I want you to know how much we loved him and appreciated him.
We've been on mountain, up on Calvary, and the man in the middle was Jesus. He died for me. And the man in the middle was Jesus. He died for you and me. And it's an honor to speak with you about our good friend and legend, Sonny Houston. How many of you here have taken lessons from Sonny? As you can see, he had a big fan club. Now, I don't know why I was chosen to speak here, but I want you to know that I was Sonny's best student. And his worst student. I was his best student because I took lessons from Sonny for 12 years, right up until a month before he died. Probably the longest of anyone here. Anybody here? Big 12 years. And the worst student because I was an awful player. Sonny used to have to retune my instrument every time I took a lesson. Took a few minutes off the 30-minute lesson. I started with Sonny on the banjo for 5 years. Then I switched to the guitar to learn Merle Travis and Doc Watson's finger style, and finally the mandolin, which I was the worst of all. Sonny gave me a lot of encouragement, though, and that's the reason why I kept taking lessons. I don't know what would have been the next. I was thinking about the accordion. But good or bad, it was fun being around Sonny. He was amazing with his ability to play and teach 5 different instruments: the banjo, the guitar, the bass, the mandolin, and the fiddle. And he could duplicate the sounds and styles of various artists, musicians. He always told me he loved the fiddle best. He was terrific. And Sonny did a lot of good things for other people. As Kay has mentioned with the Alzheimer's patients. And I was fortunate to hear him play for the patients at the Shepherd's Spinal Clinic. And every Christmas, it's been mentioned before, he and his group put on a special program at Emory and Oxford. Sonny liked to talk about his family back in Kentucky. As we had heard, they were a family of musicians. And he told me that when he was young and when his father would go off to work early in the morning, the family would gather around and play before they went to school. More importantly than anything, Sonny was a sweet man, a kind and gentle soul. I was blessed to have known him. So this evening, when sky falls and you look up into the heavens, you will see a new star. And listen for the sweet sound of a fiddle playing. Will the circle be unbroken? God bless you, Sonny Houston.
The angels I've come to realize what a unique relationship I had with Sonny. And I think I served as sort of a foil for a side of him that he fought against all of his life. In fact, I remember one time when a book of mine had just come out, and he came to a reading, and after it was over with, he said, I was waiting to see if you were good enough before I bought your book. And evidently he decided I was good enough. But I was talking to his cousin Roy T. At his home memorial, and I said, Roy, you know, Sonny had a dark side. He said, dark? He was grim. He was grim. And I thought, well, he was. And I think we became friends because we were sort of yin and yang. His darkness to my Pollyanna-ishness. And he, throughout our friendship, it was a friendship of contention. We would contend with each other. He would throw questions at me as if challenging me to find some way, help him find some way out of this quandary that he was in. But he did it best by himself. He did it through his music. And so when I wrote a blog about it last week, I wanted to deal with that other side of him. Not as a way of saying, well, look, he wasn't perfect, he had this dark side, but as a way of showing that that's where his music came from. He was questioning. He was a yearner. He yearned towards answers. And the answers always came in the form of a song. And so in this blog, I've woven little bits of his songs in with my writing because that exemplified our friendship. Music was an integral part of it. I talk at the end, at the very end of this, I say something about a photo because there was a photo of me at the top of the blog of Sonny singing for one of my readings. He sang for a number of my readings. He also sang for my mother.
It's come the time for me to leave Kentucky, her deep dark hills, no more will I call home. Throughout my life, I feel that I was lucky for the years that I was blessed to call it home.
Some people are born broken. The heart is a slippery devil, especially when that little pump is still no more than a rucksack of muscle and blood just settling into the arc of ribs drifting in an amniotic sea. One jounce, and oops, there goes a rip in the fabric of new life. A doctor can spy rent tissue and fix it right up, but more than blood pulses through a heart. A fissure to the chamber where the soul is housed can't be seen. It can only be felt by its consequences. A heart with a hole where the soul lives can never be filled.
But in my heart, I've lapped away the memory of days gone by that shall never come again. In troubled times, there'll be a consolation, and in times of loneliness, there'll be a friend.
Come on, Dana, everybody has a dark side. You must be angry about something. Sonny, I'm not angry. Then how can you write? Call it fate, or luck, or grace, or the benevolence of a loving God. A broken and leaky soul yearns towards answers, and that yearning becomes art.
Just like a stream that's joined a rolling river, and in its time is flowing to the sea. So every soul will seek a destination, a place where it may dwell in peace eternally.
Dear one, Sonny only let himself be flowery to me in emails. I'm not sure I know what love is. Does it have to be physical? Where does love live? I think love lives in kindness, Sonny.
When springtime comes and dogwoods show their blossoms, when red bud blooms and the robin sings her song, I'll close my eyes and there I'll soon be walking. Though I'm 10,000 miles away, I'll be at home.
sing at her memorial? It will be my great honor. Wiped out by this great kindness were all the times he'd made me so mad I swore I would not and could not sustain a one-sided friendship with such a self-serving jerk, to quote my rants over 30 years of knowing Sonny. Again and again through the years, our friendship was redeemed by the music he wrote as a balm for his unsecured heart.
In troubled times, there'll be a consolation. And in times of loneliness, they'll be my friend.
I'm ready to try Eastern Kentucky again. I'll be there for seed time and the whole week after. That's wonderful, Sonny. It's your home. You need to make peace with that place and the people.
Don't sing another chorus of my old Kentucky home. She stands arrayed in splendid desecration. A vision of a people in a world that might have been.
Everybody's glad you're here, Sonny. You're going to stay for the jam, aren't you? I can't, Dana. There's just so much I can stand.
Apparitions drifting on the coal dust in the wind.
When a soul is sent limping into the world, it keeps an eternal lookout for wholeness. Where more than in music can perfect wholeness be found? Sonny, see how I'm looking at you in this photo from the last reading we did together. It's a look of quiet pleasure in knowing that you will, for the space of the song you're about to sing, feel complete. Out of a dark place, you pulled words and music others cherished because they could not themselves find the words and music they needed as a balm for their own dark places. Who will sing for us now?
It's very good to see many of you I haven't seen for a long time. And it takes a village to save an idiot. And I think Sonny was part of my village. My brother Johnny and I were kind of trapped in these barbecue vortex gigs. You know, we were just mostly playing barbecues and at the freight room. And somebody said, yeah, there's a bass player that just moved to town. You got to meet him. He's the real deal. And it was Sonny. And he came to a gig. We never really met him. We just said it'll pay, whatever. And he walked up. And it was just like somebody walking out of time. Because even though we're from Tennessee, we moved to Atlanta when we were 10. And Johnny was 6. So we had become urbanized in our bluegrass. And when we go back to Bristol, our grandmothers straighten us out and take us to, Macy Springs and, infuse us with the Carter family and then go to Steele's Creek and, and then we come back to Atlanta and there's this guy, this mountain genius. He's kind of an Albert Einstein mountain man, thinks too much. Had a huge brain, was sad for no reasons a lot because, I would always be like, you all right, Sonny? You okay? Can I get you a cup of coffee? I always tried to take care of him because I'm like Barney the Purple Dinosaur, hey kids, everybody gather around, and he would just be over there like this. But once I got to know him, I realized this is a great guy and he really helped my brother and I with history and vocals. And then one day we found out he played the guitar. He never even mentioned he played the guitar. We just knew he was this guy. And then my friend Elise Witt says, you know who that is? I said, no, tell me. And she starts telling me about Apple Shop. And of course, this is before the internet. I would have already, stalked his Facebook and all if it had been back in those days. But you had to really want to know something back then to find out about it. And I slowly got to understand that his mind and the payroll boys, who all he played with. And he really upgraded me in ways that I can never thank him for. I did thank him before he died. We did a museum gig a few months back and together, just a duo. like we had done at Six Flags. And he'd go, I don't know about Six Flags. You don't think they're going to like just two guys playing the guitar and the banjo? I said, they'll like it, Sonny. Come on. It's great. It will be fine. And we get there and play Stanley Brothers wide open. He goes, you think they like that? I go, look at their faces. They're gathering around. They love it. Okay, let's do another one. And we do another one. And I think we ought to do a Gordon Lightfoot. Don't you think we ought to? No, let's just do Stanley. Let's do another one. Because I was just loved singing with him. If anybody in here that sang with him, it's just, I mean, he's just incredible. In pitch and in every kind of nuance. He really taught me how to really sing with emotion. He was a mixed bag, but we never had a cross word. He would never judge me for my musical curiosity. I started looking over the fence into other genres, and as you know, I've gone into other genres now. That's just something that happened. But Sonny never judged me for that, and I really appreciate him in ways that I'll never be able to explain. He was the real deal, the real deal. There was never any. He would tell it like it was, and I loved that. So, Sonny, this is for you. We don't know if you can hear, but if you can, then enjoy it, please. Thank you for being in our lives. Yeah, do you want to do it, G? Okay. Shadows of this life is gone, I'll fly away. Well, like a bird from prison bars that fall, I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory, I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, bye. Fly Thank you so much. That concludes our service.